Good Monday morning, my peeps. It's Adrienne Talks, and I'm excited to have a guest here for you that has an amazing podcast called Betterment Podcast, and it's all about leaving corporate America to work for yourself and start your own business. So I love that Michele McGuire is here with us because I feel like our podcasts go so well together because so many people leave corporate America for direct sales. So welcome, Michele.
hmm
Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hi, Adrienne. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to have this opportunity. So, yeah, I have been in corporate America for about 20 years in the hospitality space, meetings and events, and it has served me well, and I have been very successful in it. I do, however, understand now that it has just triggered my anxiety. And the reason for that, I always thought I was an anxious person, just in general, from like a young age. But I realized I did a lot of childhood trauma healing work about a year and a half ago. And I realized I'm not an anxious person. I know that I know that my nervous system was programmed to react in a certain way that when I'm unsafe. And as a result of that, when I was a kid, when my nervous system was like, not safe, I dealt with it in a specific way. But those coping mechanisms don't serve me as an adult anymore. But I also realized that things with work trigger my anxiety. They trigger me, even though I'm not unsafe, but they trigger something that has come up from when I was a young kid, like always feeling I had to be good and perfect, or if I was late, getting reprimanded by my teachers, So that has filtered into my corporate life. And I have been, because of that, just not happy. And it's not because there aren't aspects of my job that I love, because there are. It's just because I know that I'm not in alignment. My corporate career is not in alignment with what I know my true purpose is. And so the past like 9 months, I've been on this like journey to figuring out what that purpose is. Back in 2016, I joined Rodan and Fields
Mm-hmm.
as a way to, figure out a different path. And I've been doing Rodan and Fields ever since, still alongside my corporate career. I was really successful at it. Got up to level 5, consultant, and there's different levels within that level 5. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, so I I am so grateful that I did that because of so much that I learned now in my journey today in terms of, okay, let's really figure out if I don't, being on the fence, if I don't want to stay in corporate. I learned so much just from my Rodan and Fields journey to really catapult myself
Right.
forward into doing something else. The
And
confidence it's built is amazing.
yeah, and what I love about some of what you just like unpacked there, because there was quite a bit for the listeners, is like, first of all, you have to recognize what's going on. Are you, there's so much that goes on subconsciously that we ignore, right? So these triggers
Yeah.
that were triggering you, you don't realize, like you said, that this is something you did as a kid and it's just carried over through your whole life. So
hmm
I appreciate that because I think that's such a big part of coaching is helping people see that like you have these things going on in the background that you're not paying attention
hmm
to that are causing this. That was a huge part of my journey as well. But I love that you said it's not in alignment because I feel like so many people pick a career. I'm talking about this so funnily, well, that's not a word, but I like to make up words with my son right now because I feel like at 16, right, he's looking at colleges, picking a career, and it's like he feels like he's got to figure out what he's going to do the rest of his life. And I'm
Mm.
like, man, we changed so much when I look at my 16-year-old self and where I
Oh my
am now,
God.
right? Like
Yeah.
something that might have been an alignment for you, your corporate job. Like, I did accounting before this and I loved it, but it did not serve me. By the end of it, I was done. And it doesn't mean that
Mm.
it didn't have its purpose and its value when I did it. It was just I was ready for the next something different. And
Right.
so I love that that you are recognizing those things because when you're in alignment with like in Rodan and Fields, when you were feeling, the direct sales love, right? You're learning about yourself,
Mm.
you're growing. I mean, that is huge. And that's really what I truly love about direct sales is there is so much growth, personal growth that happens, which in turn does business growth and everything else growth in your life in general. So I love all those
Right.
points that you are you're working on finding who you are, what your purpose is, what you enjoy, but all the while taking away this growth that you get from direct sales.
Yep. 100%. And I just feel like people in corporate America, especially, um, get stuck in this mindset of, I'll be happy when this. So fill in the blank. Oh, things will be so much better when I get my bonus in March. Oh, if only I could just get that promotion. Things will be better when. And oftentimes we get stuck in relying on others to make us happy. Like our source of happiness is on the outside, when really it can't be that way. And when you realize and you look within, what is it that really I want? Then you can, like, I don't know, lately I've been, over the last several months, been doing a lot more meditation, and it helps calm my mind and it helps me gain clarity, because in that anxious go, go, go mindset of corporate America that I'm in, I can't make sound decisions. And when I start to go within and I think to myself, what is it that I want? What will make me happy? And what I'm discovering is I do want to be more of a career transition coach, because in all of my interviews in my podcast, I have really discovered and implemented for myself everything that I've learned, of what these people do or have done, leaving corporate America and taking the leap into entrepreneurship. And direct sales is great because you can, you get out of it what you put in, and you don't
Mhm.
necessarily, and that's your control. And what you make is not your boss's decision. It's not the success of the company you're working for. What you make is up to you if you're going to do the work. And, when that, going back to I'll be happy when, there is no I'll be happy when. I mean, because you're relying on other people and you're just going to be vastly disappointed and nothing's going to change.
Oh, girl, I love
And
everything you're saying right now because I feel like in coaching people in direct sales or just in general, right? We all do that, right? Like in anything, like not even just in corporate America, like, oh, well, it'll be easier when my kids can drive. It'll be easier when, gosh, enjoy your moment, right? Like where you're at
yeah,
right now, because when you're waiting for that next step and that next thing, or you're looking, like you said, to someone else or something else, like that bonus will make me happy. This person coming in my life or out of my life will make me happy. You're going to be sorely disappointed when
yeah,
that thing happens, right? Because you need
yeah.
to be happy in what
Because then you're just
you're
going to be
doing.
on to the next thing. Well, I'll be
Yes.
happy when that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and you see that a lot too. Like, right. I'm sure when you were leveling, it sounds like you kind of level up with you. We get new
Mm-hmm.
promotion titles. So whether it's promotion or leveling up or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you do in your direct sales business, so many people don't celebrate the win of
They
level
don't.
one to go to level two. They're just like, now I'm on to level two. Now I'm on to level three. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, man. You enjoy the moment
Slow
that
your
you're
roll.
hitting
Yeah.
something, and not that you have to slow, but take a minute to be like,
Right.
hey, pat on the back,
Exactly.
way to go. Congratulations.
Nobody, yeah. It's so difficult for us, like in the culture that we live in, to celebrate the wins in the present moment, because you always have people on the outside saying, oh, great, now what's next? What's next? What's
Right.
next? Even when you're out of college, okay, when are you going to get married? Great. What's next? When are you going to have kids? Great. What's next?
When are your
So,
kids going to have kids?
right. Right. You're like, okay, they're 10 and 8. Let's relax.
Please, I don't want to be a grandma anytime soon. They're too
I
young.
know. I know. But, I owe a lot to my Rodan and Fields journey. And, and I know we were talking a little bit before we hit record, Adrienne, but what you don't change, you choose. And so if you're going to continue down this corporate hamster wheel, and if it makes you happy, amazing, then you found your purpose. We need lawyers, we need doctors, we need teachers, we need meeting and event planners. If that's your purpose and that makes you happy, have at it. But if you're not happy and you're not doing something different, then you're choosing that unhappiness. And so my Rodan and Fields journey, I took I just blindly leaped into it, having no idea what it was going to do, no idea how I was going to do it. And not for nothing, before Rodan and Fields, which is skincare, I washed my face in the shower with my Suave shampoo. I wasn't even like a skincare junkie,
Yeah.
but I tried the product and I was like, whoa, this is great. Meanwhile, like anything is better than Suave shampoo for your face, but the products really are amazing. And, you know, if someday I stop selling, which I don't foresee happening, I'll still use the products. So that was important to me, but I took a leap of faith because something had to change.
Right.
And let me tell you, the personal development that I went through was astronomical. I couldn't, like, if you asked me a year before I joined if I'd ever go on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, I'd be like, you're crazy. Like, go back to the circus.
Yes.
I'll never do that. But I was training people, like teams of 200 live on Facebook on my success. And it's like, I never thought I would be doing something like that on skincare.
So
Like,
that is such a great point. Like being open to change too. I mean, I think so many people, like you said, you know, if you want your life to continue the same, keep doing what you're doing. Right. Like,
right.
but if you want anything different or better, or you have a dream, you got to change something.
Yeah.
And so I think it's so great that you say that, because I think it's hard for people to see that when they're in the moment, right? Like they think, if I just keep going on this path, and like you said, like I'll never, you know, go Facebook Live. Well, you had to be open to change in order to get where you went. And I see this all the time. Like I'm working for a big goal with my company right now, and I was doing the same thing for a while. And all of a sudden my accountability partner and I were like, nope, we got to change something up, because we're both in this stagnant and what we want isn't happening. And the minute we changed, we were both like, oh my gosh, look at what's happening. We made one little tweak to something we were doing. And so I think it's so important that you're open to that you're open-minded, because I was the same as you. If you would have told me in college I was going to be in direct sales, I would have laughed. I would have.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it. I see why, you know, people feel badly about direct sales because of what people say, but man, I could not picture myself anywhere else. Like you said, the growth, the people I've met, the life changes I've made because of it is unreal. And I am so grateful that I was open-minded enough to try something different.
Yep. I love that. And one thing I also noticed, and I'm realizing as we're talking that I did when I took the leap into direct sales, in all of my interviews, one trend that every single person that I've interviewed that has left corporate America into entrepreneurship literally took a leap of faith. At some stage, they had to just take a leap. It's scary. It is like, you don't know where it's going to go, but I mean, you have to have faith and hope. But every single person, some of them took a leap without a plan. Some of them had somewhat of a plan, but, you know, it's easy not to move when you have the comfort of corporate or your job behind you. And I know when you were on my podcast, Adrienne, we kind of talked about this.
Yeah.
Because I think it was, you know, your husband got laid off and it almost pushed you into much more success than you ever thought possible. But you were kind of, you know, cruising because your husband had a great job and you were making enough money for whatever you needed to make. And it's like, but something had to happen and it catapulted you. Well, these women had to actually make a choice. Some of them didn't. Some of them did get laid off, but there is some sort of blind leap of faith you have to take. And I'm realizing in talking to you now, that's exactly what I did when getting into Rodan and Fields. I took a leap of faith and I was scared. And because direct sales gets a bad rap, which is so unfortunate, like even I turned my nose up to it before I joined, but like I was scared. What are people going to think of me? They're going to think I'm one of those direct sales girls and like the negative connotation around it. But at some point, they're not paying my bills. they're not my source of
Oh,
happiness.
right.
So who are they to say anything about what I'm doing
Well,
to better myself?
and I always laugh about that because anybody who's judging, anybody who's saying that clearly, I hate using this word, but it's true, it's ignorant to the industry. They do not
Yeah.
know and that's what I was in college, right? I didn't know any better. Just like anything else. If you were to put me in a nurse's station right now, I'd be like, I
Yeah,
don't know what to do right now, right? Like
exactly.
we all find these paths. And I think it's funny that, they say that like, oh, whatever, they're pushy, blah, blah, blah. You know, everyone's in sales. You sell yourself to your spouse, you
Mhm.
sell yourself to whenever you go get a corporate job, every day you're working, you still
Yep.
have a bit of sales. It's so funny how they like people think sales is such a bad thing. Um, because honestly, it's a skill that everybody should have. Like you
Yeah.
should be able to talk to someone and ask them about themselves and try to help them, which is all you're doing, right? Because if you don't like
Hmm.
whatever product ABC with direct sales, just like anything else, you don't have to worry about that. Like it's not a big
Right.
deal that you don't like it.
Right.
You're going to help the people who do need it, right? Like you didn't, you use Suave on your face and this was a great
Yeah.
thing to help you move forward. But at some point you probably would have been like, Suave's just fine. I'm fine. Right. But you
Oh,
opened,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, you opened your mind, you tried something new and boom, just like that. Like
Yep. Yep.
life
Totally.
changed.
Yeah. And also, what's interesting is it's direct sales that gets a bad rap, not sales teams in corporate. And they do the same thing.
Exact same
They
thing.
are reaching out to whoever their customer is or potential customer, and they're doing the same thing that anyone else in direct sales would be doing. It's just who they're reaching out to. It might be different. There's nothing that's not the same about it. And yes, are there some direct selling companies that have caused direct sales to get a bad rap? Yes. But if you join the right one and you do your research, it is the most lucrative thing you can do. I have to say, I have to tell a quick story. I want to say maybe a month ago, some woman posted on a Facebook group, like a mom group that I'm a part of, asking, she posted a picture of her face and she's like, my face is so dry. I really need something. Help me. I don't know what to do. And I just said, I sent like just a screenshot, not a link. I love this product. It's, multi-level market or direct sales, whatever, but this is the best product for what you're looking for. I wasn't selling me. I wasn't selling my link. I was just giving her a recommendation. They banned me from commenting on any post for 30 days because there's a rule, no direct sales promoting.
Which is so silly because if somebody were to write, I want to go see a movie tonight, what movie should I see? People would be like, go see this
Yeah.
movie, go see that movie, go see this movie. I always say this. And I was like, but when they say I need face something, if you don't recommend Suave, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there were people saying like, I buy this at the
Oh,
local.
like Neutrogena at the
Yeah,
CVS or
right.
whatever. And I'm just like,
What's the
no.
difference? You're also giving
Yeah.
another option. I mean,
I don't understand it. There's just this negative, and it's such, if I'm allowed to swear,
yes.
bullshit. Bullshit. Like it's such horseshit.
And the best part is so I always look at it, and this is what gets me through that when, some people focus on the naysayers. And I'm like, but I look at all my clients, like I just had a party with a lady who has been my customer for 16 years. I've watched her kids grow up. She's watched my kids grow up. And this relationship that we have is so amazing. We sat there for an hour before a party. I went early so we could catch up and chit chat. And like the people I've helped be able to get, dinner on the table, or like you with your face, when you can help someone, these people care about you for life and you care about them for life. And that
Mhm.
is what I love. And that's what's not being talked about. And no matter
Yeah.
what sales you're in, like my husband, I
Yeah.
mean, he still talks, he's out of the industry of transportation, which is where he was before, but he was in sales. He still
Yeah.
has some great friends from that
Mhm.
he wouldn't have without it. So it always makes me laugh, when people focus on those things. And so I always tell the people on my team or any team or anyone I'm coaching with, man, focus on the good people. Forget those
Mhm.
people. The people who are banning you on Facebook, they're not worth your
Like
time anyway,
they're so close-minded, and it's like I feel bad for them.
Yeah,
I truly
they're
do,
missing out.
because they're really missing out. They really, really are. It's a shame.
Yep. And so that's what's what's beautiful about what you're saying is like, again, you say, you were kind of saying like you either, you're changing or you're choosing to stay the same, right?
Yeah.
So again, even in those scenarios, I tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, you can sit there and focus on a person, or somebody that's naysaying, or you can change your mindset and go, who cares? I'm going to go to the people who care about me. Like whenever somebody says like, yeah, I don't need to be on your client care list, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm happy because I don't want to follow up with you if you're not interested in right? Like just like us, like if anything, if somebody says like, oh, I love this movie, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not an action movie person, that doesn't mean I don't like you.
Who cares?
Right?
That's not personal. It's like you just don't want to watch the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. And right now, while I'll always do Rodan and Fields because I absolutely love it, I know that, skincare isn't also necessarily my purpose. So I'm also branching off on my own to, based on my childhood trauma healing work I've done, I'm going out there to coach women on boundaries. And I'm nervous as anything to get myself out there, even just with that. That's not direct sales. Like if I could do that with direct sales that has such a negative connotation, why am I afraid to do this with my boundaries coaching? Like that's ridiculous.
Right.
Because it's true, like regardless of what it is, direct sales, any kind of other coaching, whatever it is you're doing that you're trying to get out there that might be different than what everybody knows you as, like what your quote unquote identity is. It's who cares what other people think? Because the right people will come to you and they're going to support you. Why are you worried about those other people are not paying your bills?
Mm-hmm. And guess what? Their opinions don't pay your bills either.
Exactly. Exactly. And the people who do matter either support you by being your cheerleader, will buy your product, will take your coaching course, and like there's so many people out there that will support you. So look for that. It's like, in time of crisis, look for the helpers, look for the supporters.
And I've always said that too. I was amazed when I first started in direct sales too, how it wasn't the people that I thought were going to support me. It was random people, right? Like when I talked to my friends and sent out like my first email of like, hey, I'm doing this. Would you be willing to have a party to support me? It was so funny to me. The people who were like, yeah, I'll support you. I was like, what? And honestly, some of them I realized became really good friends from that, because there are people who will support you no matter what you're doing, whether they want to do it or not. They just want to support you, right? And what you're doing. And I hear that all the time. Well, my friends and family. Yeah, well, your friends and family are being very close-minded. And I've even had friends who have opened up since. Like it took a while, right? Because you see people come and go in different industries. They only do it for 6 months or whatever, and they give up. Because I was just having that conversation too. I'm like, man, I think every time people are about to make it in direct sales, they give up like right before they're about to make it, because they get scared or they don't see the results they want or whatever. And they're just getting known for that. And then they're like, never mind, I quit, I'm out,
Yeah.
And I was telling them, so I know people see that in direct sales a lot. So I don't know if it took me sticking around this long in my industry or whatever it was to change their mind, or just to see my passion and my love for it. But it's unfortunate that anybody has to wait to see. If you have a passion and love for something right now, you should support them and what they're doing, because we all should be happy for each other when we find something we love and we're giving it a try. And
there's enough happiness to go around. Just because somebody else is happy doesn't mean you don't have to be. You don't, you can't be.
There is no limit to happiness.
There's no limit. Come on,
And that's exactly kind of what you were saying, right? Like with the things will be better when, or whatever, like we're always waiting for something, and you can just be happy. You're making a fun, open change, you're open-minded, you're making a change and you're excited about it. Why would you let someone else's opinion of that? Like, if you found out you were pregnant and somebody's like, oh, well, that's dumb, you're not going to listen to them. You're excited. So do the same with anything else. Like you would ignore people when you really love something, or you're getting married to someone you really love, or whatever it is. You don't care what other people think, because you're like, I'm so happy and I'm so excited. You have to do that all the time with anything you're doing. So when these naysayers come at you, Man, put that shield up. Like,
I
I ain't
know.
got time for that. Right.
I know. And just to go back really quickly on the comment you made about how people quit early, like right before they're about to make a breakthrough, it just reminded me of an image that, my team at Rhode Island Fields shares with each other often when somebody gets down. There's like this giant like rock mountain, and there's this, it's like a cartoon or like a comic or something, one of those like New York
Yeah.
Times things, where it's this old guy chipping away at the rock because he's trying to mine for gold or whatever through this mountain. And literally there's like this tiny sheet of rock left, and there's this huge treasure on the other side. He literally turned, like you can see him turning around and walking away.
Yep.
Like right before he's all of that work, all of that seed planting and growing is finally about to bloom. He was like, nope, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, you got to stay consistent. You just got to keep going.
Yes. And I mean, and I think part of it is what you said. Like, I always tell people you got to know your why and your passion. Like, why are you doing it and what's your passion? Because if there
Yeah.
is a disconnect there, that's when you walk away when you're almost there, because it's
Yeah.
like you're letting that naysaying, or you're letting the sales, you're not quite where you want to be in sales or sponsoring or the promotion or whatever. You're letting all these outside factors affect exactly what you said, affect your happiness, right? Like it's coming
Mm-hmm.
at you from these directions, and so you're focusing on all this negative, but not the core of why you're doing what you're doing, not that passion that's inside of you that made you start in the first place. That's
Right.
what's going to get you through all of the all of that other stuff that's coming at you from every angle. And when
Yeah.
you can find that happiness, that glow, that excitement, that purpose, that pushes all that away. Just like I said, with like when you're pregnant and you're excited, it doesn't matter how many people are like, oh my God, it hurts to have a baby. Oh, it's so expensive. But you heard all that stuff. And you were like,
Mm-hmm.
don't care. I'm having a baby and I'm so excited. You
Right.
got to do the same thing. You got to protect yourself with your same excitement and your same love of what you're doing from all that other crap, because it
Yep.
comes at you, and then your mind starts focusing on all that crap instead of, why am I doing this? What
Yeah.
am I doing this for?
Yeah. And you also, going back to your why, there's purpose in your pain. And so I always think to myself, like, especially when I'm going through a really hard time in my corporate job where I'm just so unhappy and crying all the time, or whatever it is that's causing my unhappiness with work, it's so painful. And those moments, that's where I'm just like, I'm doing this, I'm getting out, I'm making, I'm going to do this. So it's like, that's also part of your why. Remember the pain. It's like, which discomfort do you choose? The pain in your current situation, or the pain of growing and the pain
Yes.
of doing something different that is more aligned?
Right. With what you want. Exactly. And it is hard. It is amazing that it's easier for some reason, people think it's easier to choose staying where you are and living in the pain that you're currently in than, like you
Yeah.
said, to go live on Facebook and do something you would never do before. Like, and
Right.
look what it did for you. Look what it brought you,
Right.
and look what it helped you learn about yourself. And yeah, so many people are just so comfortable in their comfort zone, and you gotta get out of it, because
Yeah.
I mean, all these points you made are so amazing in the personal growth, and just, you know, you're choosing to change, or you're choosing to stay the same. I mean, it's your
Hmm.
choice. And I love
It
that
is.
you said that, because I just think so many people think, no, it's not, it's this, it's that. Like you said, like happiness comes from the next this, that, or this, or, my life is this way because of this, this, and this. No, it's because you're choosing to not make a change.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And when I was really, really just like, you get in this negative cycle, especially when you're in such an anxious state, where like people like my husband at the time, I'm now divorced, but he would be like, Michelle, what about this? Or what about that? Or my mom would even say, like, what about this? What about that? And I would just be like, no, no, no. And I'd have every reason in the world as to why your idea wouldn't work, and your idea wouldn't work, and your idea wouldn't work. And everyone's like, you're so negative. I'm like, no, I'm just realistic. But,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
but like, that was me in this just negative cycle. And that's what being in unhappiness is going to continue to try to pull you into. And so it's, for me, it's been so pivotal to just go back into myself, calm my mind, be in the present moment. It is so crucial because in those moments are where clarity comes, and you can make sound decisions and you can start to actually take action.
I love that. I love that. And I so appreciate you coming on and sharing all this. I think I'm sure my listeners are out there, minds blown with so much information. But I do always like to ask, if there was one piece of advice you could give my listeners, what would it be?
From everything that I've learned over the last year in this it's like almost like I had a spiritual awakening. And I've said it a few times and I just said it. It's really, really important just to, if you don't know what to do or you're feeling in a state of uncertainty and despair, do a 5 or 10 minute meditation and just calm your mind. Because in those moments, you'll find clarity. And even if it's not in that meditation, your mind will be much more calm. So when you are going back into like your day to day, something will come to you that will make sense. So just be mindful, get yourself into the present, quiet yourself, and answers will come. You may not have the path, but just a small answer to take a small action in those steps of action breeds clarity. So, you take one more action, something else opens up. You take that action, something else opens up. And then eventually you'll kind of know where you're going.
And I think that goes along perfectly with this whole podcast, because when you take that action, you're choosing to change. You're choosing to do something different. And so I love that. So thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on and sharing with my listeners. I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you, and thank you for having me.
Of course. So you guys, until next week, when Adrienne talks, realize the power is within you. Hey, you guys, my passion is helping females live their true ideal life, not to let anyone else determine their dreams, how they will achieve them, or what they really want out of life. That is for you to decide, and I would love to help you with that journey. So if you text Kickstart to 314-333-6063, you will get my latest freebie, and I have special pricing for April only on coaching one-on-one with you. So let me help you realize power within you to create your ideal life.